Shadows asleep amidst the trees. Bats all a swaying in the breeze. But one so light, anxious, wide awake, fearing all manner of ghouls, hags and rakes. For your dolly Polly sleep has flown, don't dare let her tremble alone. For the witcher, heartless cold, paid in coin of gold. He comes, he'll go, leave naught behind but heartache and woe. Deep, deep woe. It's all silent for the night. House turned in as daylight dies. But when so light, anxious, wide awake, fearing all manner of ghouls, hags and rakes, my dear darling.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Haunted Connections show. We're bringing this to you from the Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre in Hinckley, Leicester, and we are sponsored by Sims Vintage Antiques in Wotton Warren near Stratford. So
She's only been saying this for 3 years.
4
4
No,
years.
3.5.
3.5.
Yeah, God, you're teasing. So welcome everyone. So tonight we're talking about residual energy. Does it really exist? And following on from that, the stone tape theory. So we're looking forward to everybody's thoughts, everybody's comments, anything that you want to say about it, whether you agree or disagree. All opinions are welcome. So put your comments down, and we'll kick off.
Okay then, let's kick off.
Let's kick off.
Jane, why are we talking about stone tape theory and residual energy?
Well, for quite a while, I've always questioned this, and recently I thought I'd put pen to paper, and so I wrote an article in the Haunted magazine about residual energy and does it really exist? Because when we look back on it, the theory of the residual energy, where it's replayed, the spirits of ghosts are supposed to be replayed from the environment for whatever reason, like a tape recording. And I don't really agree with that, because I've never come across that in the 4 years that I've been here at the Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre. We've never come across any residual energy, and prior to that I've never come across any residual energy. And even when I've been on investigations, people have said, oh, that's residual. And what I've picked up isn't what they're saying. I picked up actually, these energies were actually real. There weren't a tape recording. I didn't feel that they were a tape recording, or that this plays over and over again like a memory. So really going back to the building, the last 4 years, now we know there's been something here on this site for probably nearly 1,000 years. Hinckley Town was established in the 1100s. Hinckley Market was there in the 1350s. So, and this building sits right on the edge of the marketplace. And in all that time, we've never encountered anything that's come across as residual. So I am looking forward to everybody's opinions on this. Even yours.
Yeah, even mine.
Even yours. So this is where it's come from. So
it's
I wrote all this down in a magazine, and I am looking forward to getting other people's opinions on this, because off the back of this this is where it comes to, some people say a ghost is different from a spirit. A ghost is like the memory that's replayed as part of like residual energy or the stone tape theory, whereas the spirit is actually the spiritual energy. So and I disagree with that because I believe they're both the same thing. You know, most people, if they see something, they'll say, "I've seen a ghost."
Yes, yes, they do.
Um,
Okay, let's put the first comment up. Okay, Mark says, residual energy, in my view, exists. Have you ever walked into a building and just got a blast of information to mind? It'll be very gentle at times, but it's in the back of your mind, I believe, because the residual energy is there.
but I would is I think Mark is sensitive, isn't he, or is he a medium?
Yes.
So is it, Mark, that you're picking up the information that's sort of out there in the field, in the matrix sort of thing, and you're picking up that energy? Is it, you know, the residual energy is supposed to be a replay, a memory of the same sort of thing happening over and over again? And I think it's believed that people who've suffered a very traumatic death, it's believed that their emotion, their energy is trapped like in the stone, the fabric of the building. And for some reason it replays and replays. So
Okay. Yeah. The good thing about this discussions like this, because we don't agree on everything that everyone says, doesn't matter. It's to get people talking about it, that's all it is. We're not saying our thoughts or Jane's thoughts is right. That's just Jane's thoughts. If you think it's something different, that's fine. Okay. Facebook user, I think that is, well, Bill, but I'm not sure. People, just remember, everyone has their own opinion. Yes, exactly. Just because we've got different opinions, don't mean to say we can't be mates. Biff says, you see, I never thought much of the stone tape theory until I heard Richard Felix explain it, and it made perfect sense. Okay then, talking about the stone tape theory, the stone tape theory actually comes from a BBC One play in 1972. It was just a play, and it seems like everyone's latched onto the stone tape theory. And the guy who wrote it didn't actually believe in ghosts, did he?
No. And he based it in a Victorian house because he'd recently been to the BBC, and their head office at the time for this sort of thing was in an old Victorian house, and that's where he got the inspiration.
Okay, Vaughn says, I agree with Mark. Yep, cool. Facebook user, it's like a video playing on a loop. I don't know why it keeps coming up. Facebook user, Amy Pop, I guess that's Amy. Biff says, however, I can't say I've experienced it, but then I'm a young'un in the paranormal field. And then Janet says, psychometric. Would you class this residue energy or stone tape theory? Hi, by the way. Hi, Janet. So
you're talking about psychometry?
I think so.
So to me, because all my opinions, if you like, are based on the research and the experience that I've had. So obviously there'll be lots of people out there who will have a completely different experience and completely different information, and that's why we all have different opinions. So you know, that's
and that's what makes us humans.
Yes, that's what makes us all interesting.
And as long as we can talk about these different opinions,
I wouldn't class. If you're doing a psychometry on something and it's you're picking up the energy, I wouldn't class that as residual, because it's not something that's playing over and over again. If you think of an item, for me, and this is just my opinion on psychometry, if you think of an item that's 100 years old and it could say have 5 different owners in its lifetime, I could pick that item up, do some psychometry and pick up just a small snapshot of its life with one particular owner. Somebody else could come along working on a different vibration, different frequency, however you want to call it, and they could hold the item and they could pick up another another sort of slot in time that this item's been around with a different owner. So it's sort of picking up the energy that's around the item.
Yep. Okay. Biff says, heard you on about the play on podcast. Got a link. I'm sure it's on YouTube because we watched it a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I will find it, Biff, and I'll put it on the page for you. Oh, loads of comments. Okay, Mark says, I absolutely agree. It's the energy I feel that is lingering or perhaps not shifted for whatever reason. It is a memory indeed that is still there, I feel, as opposed to spirit that is present telling a story. Okay, Karen says, younger in paranormal but not in real life. I didn't like to say that, Karen, but now you mention it. Wild Bill says, can you see me now? Yes, we can. Nice to see you, Bill.
Nice to see you, Wild Bill.
I hope you're keeping well. One says, I feel it is crossed between both residual energy and stone tape as the stone being a conductor, but often think it has crossover with the energies. Okay. Biff says, oh, you're in for it, Mrs. Okay, some we all do it, and I've been doing this since I started until we talked about your theory or your ideas.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can be on a Roman road and people say they can see Roman soldiers marching, can't they?
Yeah.
That road is not there now. So how are they stored? What are they stored in? They're not stored in the stone of the Roman road because the stone isn't there now.
No, and if the stone's not there, but this is another thing. What happens to the stone when it's changed or when it's, for people who are not sure about the stone tape theory, the idea is that when these emotions go off and they're trapped sort of in the stone. Now, I could possibly see how that could possibly happen because everything vibrates as well. And so your stones will vibrate. So if you've got a natural stone that's been, say, got out of a quarry and they've used it to, say, build an old castle in all natural stone, then all that's going to be, everything vibrates anyway. But your energy is also a vibration. So how are those two vibrations going to fit into the same space, vibrating at different frequencies? And then how is it going to, what triggers it to be released? So this is for anybody who's watching that doesn't know the stone tape theory, the idea is that your energy is trapped in the stone, and then at some point the stone releases like a replay or video of what, and that's called residual energy.
Okay. Stefan says, Richard Felix has been talking about this tonight. Particularly battlefield residual energy due to the emotional and traumatic experience of fighting and killing to stay alive. Also the pain suffered and maybe being left unburied. Yeah, again, you see, where is it stored in? I don't know that much about it, I admit. But in a battlefield, where is that energy stored? What is it stored in? Is it stored in the
ground?
In the ground? But the ground's not the same. That soil.
What if that ground's continually ploughed? How does that trigger?
That soil is not there now.
No.
So, okay. Wild Bill says, the stone tape theory is a speculation that ghosts and hauntings are analogues to tape recordings, and that mental impressions during emotional or traumatic events can be projected in the form of energy recorded onto rocks and other items and replayed under certain conditions.
Yeah, so the conditions have never been proven anyway, but this was only, and it still is only a theory, because it was bandied around by a couple of scientists because they were trying to justify what causes a haunting. And this was sort of a couple of ideas that they came up with, that it might be an energy sort of, trapped in the stone of the building. But this play, when this play was written, it had such success. It was written it was played in 1972 at Christmas as like a horror thriller. and it was so successful that it seems to have cemented people's belief that it is actually a real thing, but it's never been proven.
Yeah, and also people are saying about emotional or traumatic events. To me, a lot of the supposed residual hauntings are perhaps of a maid in a big house going around her duties, like seeing to the fire or doing something.
Yeah,
That is not, to me, that is not a traumatic or emotional event.
no.
So why would that be stored in the bricks of the building? I don't know.
But is it every brick? Because all the different bricks and all the different stones all have their own vibrational frequency, and they all, they're all vibrating at different things.
Yeah.
So if the stone's removed and you've replaced the brick, but then hauntings are still happening, that energy is not going to be trapped in that new brick.
Okay. One says, it's a great question. You have really got me thinking now. But away from paranormal, I have experienced residual energy in childhood. And then she says, stored in the ether? I don't know. Biff says, I can understand the principle in buildings or maybe on a beach where silica is prevalent, I imagine. Can't see it in a field or battlefield. This is good because this is what we wanted. It's getting people talking and talking like adults.
I'm just coming back to Hon's point there.
Yeah, the first
in
one.
The ether,
I
believe, in the ether, in the matrix, in the field, whatever you want to call it, that is where our own spiritual energy is anyway. When we die, that's where I believe the spirit goes to, and that's where I believe the spirit world is. So if you've got your own sort of, if the real spirit is in there, how would it still store a replay of your own spirit? Because you're going to have a duplicate in there alongside yourself that's going to be vibrated. Well, you're going to have a duplicate in there in the spirit world as well, that only replays at a certain time through certain triggers, but then your own spirit is still going to be there. And that I've never encountered that, so I'm just trying to understand how that would work.
Yeah. Then Von says, or is it our subconscious from a past time, so residual within our own subconscious?
But your subconscious and your spirit, your character and everything else is your spirit. So that would be the same. You would only have the one spirit.
Yeah. Bill says, remember, quartz stores a lot of information, just a small piece. And quartz is a mineral that is everywhere. Okay. And then Annette says, no, I don't believe it. If you walk in a room where there's been a row, you pick up the vibe of the people still in the room. I believe this of spirit as well. They are still giving off their vibe. Okay, and then Mark says, absolutely agree, 100%. So keep your comments coming in. If you've not seen the Stone Tape Theory, which was a BBC one, if you're like me and you watch it, you'll be expecting the TARDIS to land any second. It was typical BBC of the 70s, with cardboard walls, and it was a good laugh.
See, one of the things that I did question is, and I've seen a lot of people do it in the paranormal, even new people that come into the paranormal, because they're sort of working with other people and they're learning and training and everything else. If somebody says to them, "Oh, that's residual energy," they'll automatically pick that up and believe it. And that's probably been handed on to the person who's telling them because somebody told them, and this belief, I believe, has come from this film, this Stone Tape Theory. And I think some people actually believed it's real, and it's been handed down and passed down to like generation to generation of paranormal investigators. So people now believe that it is a real thing.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I think it's a fault with the paranormal. People don't question enough Now, we like to question everything, and I think if we're going to make progress in the paranormal field, we need to question what's been handed down to us from the Fox sisters, even.
Yeah.
Stefan says there are different surface levels in the ground from different ages, much like the growth rings in trees. So there could be spirits on the lower earth level that get uncovered during construction or other disturbances.
Yeah, possibly.
Okay. And then Biff says, sounds like Abigail's party, laugh out loud, or is it like Prisoner Cell Block H with the walls moving? Yeah, I'll put the link on our page so everyone can watch it. Karen says maybe show the play one night at the centre.
Yeah, can do.
We can do if that's what people would like to watch. We could do that. It's in the public domain, so we're allowed to show it. Biff says, think too many people are too eager to believe, so won't question enough. Yeah, I think there's not enough questions going on. You know, I've never heard anyone question residual energy before or the stone tape theory.
No.
It's just been passed down that the stone tape theory is an actual thing.
And this has been, it's the 50th anniversary of this play this year. So this theory has been around for 50 years.
One says, I went to Culloden Battlefield. It was awful. I could vision it, feel the atmosphere. It was very emotional. It was literally a massacre, same as when I went to the Polish prisoner of war camp. Yep. So keep your comments coming. It's good to discuss things, I think.
What's Wendy's comment?
Oh, right. Sorry, I missed Wendy's comment. Wendy says, there's room for not. I agree with spirit being free, but understand the principles of stone tape recorded minerals and have experienced both. I know the difference long before the film, which I've never seen. Okay. So, any more comments? No more comments. So, yeah, I do think as investigators, we should question things more, not just follow.
Yeah, I know some people have said when sort of been investigations somebody have said, oh, it's residual energy because they won't respond to me and they're just sort of carrying on doing their things. And I've come across some spirit who their energy is in life. They were so intense because of the role that they were doing, their job. They were so engrossed in the duty of doing their job was such a big thing for them that they wouldn't engage anyway because they're doing their job was far more important than talking to people. And if you think of people like the guards outside Buckingham Palace, they're doing their job and they're doing their duty and they can't actually stand and just have a chat with you. They can't respond if you talk to them because their duty is so profound that they've got to do that. And if they've done that all their lives, then they're not going to change after death because their spirit is still going to be the same. That sense of duty is still going to be there in their spirit.
Yep. Okay. Wendy says room for both fat finger syndrome, and Von says hello again. Facebook keeps going off, so she's gone to YouTube now. So if you're investigating, I'll throw this question out to everyone who's investigated locations. If you've investigated somewhere and you come across what everyone's saying is residual energy, do you actually try and talk to them, or is it just brushed aside because it's a ghost and it's residual?
Quite possibly. I've seen that happen.
Biff says, sounds like the power of suggestion is far too prevalent in the paranormal. Suggests something that makes sort of sense and peeps latch onto it and believe far too easy. And Yvonne says losing you here too. Oh, that's a shame. Denise says love the stone tape theory. And Janet says that's the difference between paranormal investigators and ghost hunters. Not many paranormal investigators around, just too many ghost hunters. Glad my team are investigators. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I just think I must admit I've never done it, but then I'm not a medium. Is that how mediums work, Jane? Would you go into a room and think that's obviously not now, but would you before
I've
go into a room and say she's not talking to me, so she's residual?
No, I've never thought
No.
that, because I do keep an open mind, and I don't go in with any assumptions or anything, and I would just open up and I would just see what energy's there and see what we can work with. And sometimes when I see them, the one of the ones was like the maid at Bosworth House
Mhm.
that we've got a drawing from,
Mm-hmm.
and she wouldn't talk to me because she was too busy preparing the fireplace and getting stuff ready. Because this was the master's room where they played billiards and stuff like that. So she was far too busy to engage with me, even though she was still there doing her thing. So, but I never thought, oh, she's not talking to me, so she must be residual. But there will be a massive difference, because the if you engage, I mean, to me, when I send my energy out, my energy connects with the energy of the spirit, and that's then how we can communicate. So I've not connected with all the spirits that we've connected with. They've been real spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them will talk, some of them won't, and this is why I don't believe that residual energy really exists, because we've never encountered it in this building, and I've never encountered it before.
Okay. So, for example, the war room. A lot of people think residual energy is traumatic thing happening in your life.
Emotional,
Yeah.
no.
So, for example, the German helmet in the war room, that would be quite emotional, or any helmet really. That would be an emotion. So you would think that would be residual energy of that soldier.
Yeah, but not necessarily in his helmet, because that's we're talking psychometry then, aren't we? We're
Oh,
talking
right.
about the energy that's been trapped in stone,
Yeah,
aren't we?
yeah,
This is the stone tape
yeah,
theory, where they believe that the spirit had such a traumatic death that the emotions were trapped in the stone of the building, which is then released or triggered at some point and played by a tape recording.
yeah. Okay, that's different. Okay, Von says, I have just based my experiences on what I read. Must admit, never stopped to break it down. But I've never had anyone come up to me. It's more like a camera role playing. Okay. Okay, I've often wondered if it's time to question the theories and notions of 30, 40, 50 years ago and beyond, more than ever before. We live in an era where we can respectfully question, discuss, and debate that more than ever before. Exactly. I don't, it's just what Facebook user. Sorry, I don't know who you are. I would like to believe that the paranormal types in the 1950s were questioning the paranormal theories of the Victorian era. That's a good point, were they?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how that's the whole idea of this. It's important. This there we live in an era where we can respectfully question and discuss and debate. That's important, and question.
yeah,
We just like questioning everything. Biff says, the more I think about it, the more I like how you work. Don't tell people how they should think or believe or in how an object in the center should affect you. Just let people experience it as it comes. Exactly. That's how we do it, and that's how we will always be. We're not saying that we're right. And James openly said at the end of the article that if you get proved
Yeah, if there's any
different.
evidence that comes to light that makes me think different,
We'll
or I do
say-
experience it.
Our previous thoughts were wrong.
Yeah, well, we've done that, haven't we, before here? Because some of the things that we thought we knew before have been completely proved different, working in this building with different spirits.
Wendy says, agree with Vaughn. Okay, Mark says, still here. I've got terrible reception. A few people got bad reception tonight. I don't know why. It's been nice weather. Residual, in my belief, wouldn't be anything you could actually communicate with as such, as it's a memory. Having spirit present telling you a story is totally different in my view. You take your personality with you when you pass. If you're a grumpy sod in life, you'll be a grumpy sod to a degree in spirit world, pardon the punt. But in my belief, spirit are able to see the higher side of life once in spirit world, meaning they have greater understanding. Yeah, it's. I'm glad we've done this because we're getting different opinions and we're all discussing it like adults. Then he says it's like a video stone tape theory. Von says, I thought the emotions are also the emotions and feelings were also residual. Paul Stevenson says, we did ask Paul to come on tonight, but he's having technical issues. Paul Stevenson says, that question was me. Hello. All right. I'm having technical issues, and yes, I have switched it off and on.
I thought it was Paul because he said about the 30, 40, 50 years.
Bon says, Mark, I've had problems the last few days. Strange. So yeah, let's keep the debate going. Biff says, bloody hell, Mark, don't say that. Otherwise, Mrs. Biff will think I'll be grumpy lad bugger. I think he said grumpy old bugger in the afterlife.
So I'd like to try for the people who do believe that residual energy is real. I'd just like to try and understand, or for someone to explain to me, what triggers the memory and how does it get trapped?
Okay. Biff says, have you given it a hug, Paul?
Oh.
Yeah, and if you haven't read Jane's article in the Haunted magazine, I do suggest you buy one. If you don't subscribe to the Haunted magazine already, it's a fantastic magazine.
You know, and the other thing I'd like to try and understand as well is why is only a few people, a few sort of these encounters done? Why is not everybody who has a traumatic death then not? Why are we not having a lot more residual hauntings? Why is everybody's death not captured as a residual energy who's had a traumatic death? And why are they not constantly replayed and we see more of them?
Wendy says, I'm having problems too. Strange. And Mark says, must be the static. Strange. A lot of people having problems with it. Whether it's the internet or whether it's Facebook, but someone's having a problem with YouTube as well. So I don't know. Don't know what's wrong. Hopefully you can follow the chat. So yeah, it's good that we're questioning things, though, isn't it? I admit I've never questioned the stone tape theory because I was told that was it, and I've always gone along with it until now. So keep your comments coming. Any more thoughts on residual energy? Otherwise, it's going to be a very quiet show. Okay, Biff says, definitely got me questioning the stone tape theory now, as opposed to after hearing Richard Felix thinking, yeah, that makes sense. I do know Richard Felix is a firm believer in the stone tape theory. It's a shame Richard's not watching it and he could join in. Like I say, we're not saying we know 100%.
My article is really based on fact, the information that I could find, and I don't think the stone tape thing was a thing before this play actually kicked off. It was just an idea with a couple of scientists.
Okay, Wendy says, Not always traumatic. Weather mixture affects the minerals replaying.
But where are all these minerals sort of kept? Because in some residual cases, there wouldn't be minerals or stone around. So I'm just trying to understand some people's thoughts on if there's no stone, sort of true sort of stone, not your fabricated bricks or cement, that sort of thing, man-made bricks. Where is this energy kept?
This is a good question, I must admit. Okay, Yvonne says, same with me, Neil. I'm trying to work out how it could be stored, like Jane said. How is it possible? It must be science. Where are they replaying from? So that's good. That's thinking about it and thinking, where's it all coming from? And that's what we wanted to do, get people thinking, talking about it. Okay, Annette says, I can remember walking down the path at the side of my house where a girl had died. For a moment in time, it was like stepping into a blank space where everything stopped, and I turned to see her looking at me. Could that moment in time be some kind of space we know little about? Over to you, Jim.
Stepping into a blank space where everything stopped and I turned to see her looking at me. It could just been her spirit. The coming from the ether or the matrix or the field or whatever you want to call it. I call it the field. If she wanted to sort of just make her presence known, just to be remembered, just to show her energy, even she could have just appeared there, and the energy around her could have made the environment feel different, as in like things slowed down, things stopped, just to give you enough time to just see her.
One says electromagnetic field, question mark.
Well, our hearts give off quite a big magnetic field around our bodies. Is it a suggestion then that you're saying that the electromagnetic field that we have, our own electromagnetic field, triggers these things off? But why does everybody that go there then not trigger it off? If you go to a haunted, place, and some people say they've seen residual energy, and another team go in the week later and they don't get anything at all, why is their electromagnetic field not triggering off the same thing? So every time somebody walks into the room, why does it not replay automatically?
Yeah. When it says you might not have residual replays, sometimes trapped in the soil and moisture switches replay on. And then one says, excuse me, could it be crossover of dimensions, realms? There's just so much we don't know, isn't there? Paul says, the good and great John Tenney recently said, beyond whether it is real thing or not, my interest comes from the boom in the popularization of the idea, mostly due to Nigel Neal's TV program, especially since Neal didn't believe in the supernatural. It's a fair point. Good point, Paul. One says water in our body can use as a conductor. Okay. Biff says, I'm inclined to think rather than the stone tape theory, it's more a blend of timelines. Some interesting comments coming through. One says, I'm just going through different thoughts now. That's what we wanted. That's exactly what we want. Because we don't know, and perhaps if Jane hadn't written that article, for the next 50 years, it wouldn't change. It would just
We'd all just carry on thinking,
be embedded.
Oh yeah, it's a thing. It must be real.
And But like Von says, she's just going through different thoughts, and that's good. That's got you thinking. Unfortunately, signal's gone again. Wendy says electromagnetic field fluctuates, and Von's back. I don't know what's happening to the internet or the Facebook or YouTube. But it's good that people are questioning. That's what we want. And like we always say, we don't know. We don't know everything. We're not experts. Jane wrote this article on her experiences and thoughts.
Yeah, and that's and the research as well coming up.
That's all it is.
Trying to find it, trying to find the history of it, trying to find where it evolved from.
Now Von's coming up with lots of different things. DNA matrix. So this has definitely got Von thinking. Biff says, I'm just going through some different spirits, Smirnoff, Thatchers and Jack Daniels. So they're going to be residual soon, aren't they? So yeah, so I will put a link to the Stone Tape Theory play that was on BBC on our page. And if people who are near Hinckley would like to come and watch it with us, we can do that. Mark says, no disrespect intended. I watched along Omaha Beach many years ago, and it was like watching a film at times, mainly in my mind's eye. The energy was immense, as you can imagine. I was just standing on the stand at the time. I could hear sounds also, as you can imagine. Where did the residual sounds come from? It wasn't spirit providing this to me at that time. No, we know no disrespect. This is what we want. We want different opinions coming through, Mark. Wendy says, we are all made by our experiences. Very true. Paul says, a lot can change in 50 years. Who'd have thought we'd be using flashy cat balls to investigate the paranormal at times? This is very true, Paul. They are so popular now. Every team that comes to the centre's got flashy cat balls. I wish I'd invented them now for the paranormal field. So, any more comments about residual energy?
Well, what are people's thoughts on? Let's just switch it a little bit, because one of the things that comes off the back of this is some people think that ghosts and spirits are two different things. I'd be interested to hear people's thoughts on that, because that came off the back of this. Because people thought that ghosts were just the replay, the residual energy, whereas spirits are actually, you know, the spirits from the spirit world. So I'd be interested to hear people's thoughts on that.
Yeah. So obviously, we just think that it's one and the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wendy says, "Yay, cat balls!" So what are you thinking about Jane's comment? That's who believes in cat balls? Do cat balls actually show spirit communication, or do they just flash anyway?
Well, I mean, we've worked with cat balls before, and we've said, you know, go on, set the cat ball off, and then it's set the cat ball off, and you know, push it down the stairs, and it's pushed it down the stairs. So, you know, knock it off the window. I think one of the better ones we did, knock it off the window, off the mantelpiece.
Yeah.
And it did that. So, I've enjoyed working with cat balls before.
I'm glad you put the word cat in front. Biff says, should start selling cat balls at the centre. Stick me down for 10% commission. One says, how do we know our spirit cannot overlap with our past energies?
Because you only have the one energy. In your lifetime, you if you think of your spirit as being, you know, the energy driving your physical form, then it's you know, you've only got one energy. You can't sort of split that energy into two and make a, you know, the body can't really work without the soul. So it's that soul that goes on into the spirit world. So once you've left your physical form, you know, your soul is just going to go on into the spirit world.
Mm-hmm. Wendy says, not sure. Von says, I don't believe ghosts are anything other than a German word for fear. And then she says, I like cat balls. And Mark says, I smile because I read Mark's comment. Mark says, could we not talk about balls? Thought I'd switch channel there. Okay, Paul says, we posted about the stone tape theory on Twitter a week or so ago, and the audience was split. Some believed in it, some dismissed it. It's the beauty of the paranormal and sometimes the confidence and perplexity in not knowing usurps everything. I don't know what usurps means, Paul. Yeah, it is split, and it's good because people are talking. I do think we need to question more in the paranormal. That's what it boils down to, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, just because somebody last year said this is the best thing since sliced bread doesn't mean to say it is. Let's think for ourselves. Von said, but that could bring us into past life regression. Doesn't exist then.
Well, past life regression for me, my past life regression for me was going back and unlocking some of the memories that my soul still has from that previous time. And you know, in the grand scheme of things, when we move on, we you know, sort of like our memories are wiped, and we sort of go on into the next time, the next chapter, the next body, if you like. But we don't come back and meet ourselves. We actually sort of, for me, in my past life, when I did the regression, I was actually unlocking memories from that life. I wasn't actually going back and visiting myself.
Okay, Von, you're doing far too much thinking tonight. And Biff says, usurps upside your head, usurps upside your head.
I'm not getting on the floor to dance to that.
Wendy says tops. It means tops. Okay. So it's good. Obviously, your article has made people talk and question things, and it's this discussion tonight just shows me that we can talk and discuss and debate things without falling out, which is good. Then Von says, so could that be the same as residual?
Going back and unlocking your memories?
Yeah, past life regression.
I wouldn't say that's the same as residual. I wouldn't. It's just unlocking the memories of if you're on the timeline one time, you're just going back to unlock some of your memories. It's like having a memory from when you were a child. I wouldn't say that's because you're not releasing another energy of yourself.
Yeah.
To replay as a video.
It's like suddenly something happens in your life and you remember playing with that toy when you were 5, but you forgot all about it.
Yes, you're not going back to unlock a vision of or
life
to release a video, sort of like playing of a child of you when you were a child playing with that toy.
Okay. Biff says, come on, Jane, you know you want to. Wendy says, good to talk about it. Yes, I agree, Wendy. It's good to talk. Ned says, I had an experience of an
out-of-body experience.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, Jane. That blew my mind. I was standing looking at myself in bed and a woman appeared at the side of me. She spooked me that much. I shot back in but could hear her laughing as I did. That's a cool one.
Yeah.
Then one says, yes, I understand now. My mind is just foggles now. I think you're thinking far too much, Ron, which is good. You're not thinking too much, really. It's been a good discussion, isn't it, tonight?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Because you just got to think, one of the things that I was thinking about is if you've got your spirit, if your consciousness and your spirit has gone into the spirit world, even if you've had a traumatic death, then how is part of your energy going to be trapped inside a stone when your soul goes into the spirit world? It just doesn't sort of split into two.
Okay. And it says, I'm not scared of dying, as after that I know there's another side.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was young, I used to be terrified of dying.
Yeah.
It used to be really upset me. Von says, I love a great debate. Yep,
Yeah.
that's brilliant.
And we're so glad you've joined us.
Biff says, I was wondering what the order of the British Empire had to do with the paranormal. Out of body experience, Jane says, because I was wondering that as well, Biff. So yeah, it's been a good debate tonight, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Um,
It's always good listening to other people's
yeah, of course.
experiences and theories.
And like we said, we're not saying we are right. It's just our thoughts at the minute.
And it was a question: does it really exist? I haven't encountered it, and I don't. Until I do, I don't believe in it. But I'm always interested in other people's experiences and what they think.
Yeah. So we're coming to the end.
But I would just say on that, don't believe it just because somebody tells you it's true.
Yeah.
Find out for yourself.
Question it. And research it. I'm lucky I've got my own researcher. Because I don't read at all, actually.
Yeah.
And I think the last book I read was mine when I was typing it. If you ask me what was on page 5 on my book, I ain't got a clue. Wendy says, not part of spiritual energy, just a video playback from chemicals.
I don't quite know what that means.
Um,
because even your video, it's still an energy. It's still got to be. Everything is energy in this world. Everything is energy.
Okay, Biff says, really enjoyed tonight. Maybe Jack Dilla Daniels help me. Who knows? Mark says, great discussion. That's good. That's what we want. Von says, I will have my books and research on the go now.
Yeah.
Then Von says, but you have shown it to be wrong about demons.
And again, you see, but everybody's always told us that demons are bad, demons are this, demons are that. And hi, James, if you're watching. I am a personal stalker.
Jane has got a fan. Yeah, question. If you're watching our show, so you must follow us, question everything, and that's what we do at the centre. And I think that's
why this is one of the things
why we're doing well.
When we came out of lockdown, I sort of discussed this with Neil because I've been doing a lot of reading, and it was sort of the same old stuff, and the same stuff has been written about demons.
That was during the 2 years holiday I gave you, wasn't
it? So I've been reading the same stuff about demons that's been written for 500 years, and nobody's really challenged it. Nobody's really looked because everybody says, oh, demons are bad, and we all go, oh, okay then, yes, I'll believe that because that's what I've been told. So
that's good. Question. Yeah. Biff says, reminds me of Memorex. Re-record, not fade away, but might go over many peeps' heads. I know exactly what you mean. Mark says, definitely wishing to go on investigation with Biff. He's got the right spirits.
Yeah, Jack Daniels.
Von says, I will stick with Biff's Jack Daniels while research may find the answer. Oh my God, I dread to think what the answer I will come up with.
Need more Coke.
Wendy says demons are misunderstood. Yeah. So we're nearly at the end of the show. That hour flew by. That's fantastic. This is what we wanted. Lots of opinions, which is great. And the most pleasing thing is no one's falling out over them. See,
You don't need to.
in the paranormal, you can actually have a discussion, have a debate without falling out, without any drama.
Yeah.
And be grown up about things, which is what we wanted.
And we're all grown up enough to know that we've all got different experiences. Even
Amy.
And we're all going to have different opinions based on our different experiences and everything else that we've had. So, it's good that we can all say what we think.
Yeah. So, we're coming to the end.
The answer's like the universe and everything.
Biff says 42. The answer is 42. Wendy says, thank you, you're wonderful. Oh, that's nice of you, Wendy. Mark says, thank you both.
Thank you.
I hope you all enjoy this little chat anyway. And then it says, oh no, Paul first. There's nothing wrong with challenging and questioning and dissecting age-old beliefs and notions in the hope that we can try to give balance and a fair representation of where we are at now. That is very true. And Annette says, we're too old for drama. Exactly. I can't.
We just want to find the truth.
I can't be doing with drama. It really does my head in. If you know anything about us, we keep well away from drama. Sometimes we get dragged into it, but we get back out again. Vaughn says, don't do drama. And Denise says, bye, see you soon. So, thank you all for watching. It's been a fantastic show. I loved all the comments.
I am hoping, as time moves on and as science advances, we will be able to prove a lot of this. Science can already prove a lot of this that we're talking about. And I am glad that, as science moves on and as we move on and get better access to more technology and stuff, we will be able to prove a lot more of this.
Yeah, I just got to put Biff's comment up. Truth, Paul, that was a bit deep. And the final comment for tonight, because we've got to go. Paul says, flashy cat balls rock. Oh, that was a big comment. Okay, Von says, thank you. It's been a great tonight. Just don't give us another question.
Well, you've got a while till my next article.
Until we work that one out. And finally, Von says, good night, everyone in the chat. Stay safe. Yeah, good night, everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining. It's made our night really interesting. And we will see you next week for another topic. Don't know what it is yet. Well, I'll probably decide Monday night. We'll see you next week.
Bye for now.
Was asleep in me.